Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel Who Created It and How. Today we're taking a journey back in time, way back, to an era before massive steel machinery and powerful engines dominated construction. Have you ever wondered how ancient civilizations like the Romans, the Persians, or the Incas managed to build such incredible, long-lasting roads? Roads that connected empires and have survived for thousands of years. Well, they did it without the iron and steel tools we consider essential today. So how on earth did they accomplish these monumental feats of engineering? Stick around because we're about to dig into the ingenious methods they used. Let's start with the undisputed champions of ancient road building, the Romans. Their famous saying, "All roads lead to Rome," wasn't just a catchy phrase. It was a reality. The Roman road network was the circulatory system of their vast empire, stretching over 80,000 kilometers, or 50,000 miles. It was designed for military speed, trade efficiency, and communication. But building such a network without modern equipment required incredible planning, organization, and a whole lot of manual labor. The first step for a Roman engineer or grammaticus was surveying. They didn't have GPS or laser levels, but they had a tool called the gramma. It was a simple but brilliant device. A vertical staff with a cross-shaped wooden piece on top. From the end of each of the forearms, a plumb line was hung. By aligning these plumb lines, the surveyors could lay out perfectly straight lines and right angles over long distances. For sighting across valleys or hills, they used a chorobits, a long wooden plank with carved grooves for water, acting as a sophisticated spirit level. This ensured their roads had the correct and consistent gradient. Once the path was marked, the real hard work began. The construction process was surprisingly systematic and layered, a bit like making a giant, durable cake. First, an army of workers would dig a trench called the fossa, which could be several feet deep. The depth depended on the local soil quality. The softer the ground, the deeper they had to go to reach a stable foundation. This entire process was done by hand, using bronze or simple iron-tipped shovels, picks, and baskets to carry away the earth. Now for the layers. The base layer, called the statumen, consisted of large, flat stones packed tightly together. This provided a solid, stable foundation for the entire road. Imagine thousands of workers quarrying these stones, shaping them with bronze chisels and hammers, and then fitting them together like a giant puzzle at the bottom of the trench. It was a painstaking process that required immense strength and precision. On top of the statumen came the next layer, the rudus. This was a mixture of smaller stones, broken tiles, and gravel, all mixed with a binder like sand or clay. This layer was about 9 inches thick and was compacted thoroughly. How did they compact it without a modern steamroller? With heavy, flat-bottomed wooden or stone rammers, lifted and dropped repeatedly by teams of laborers. This created a dense, solid mass that would help with drainage and load distribution. It was grueling, repetitive work, but absolutely crucial for the road's longevity. The third layer was the nucleus. This was a finer concrete-like mixture made from small gravel, coarse sand, and hot lime. This layer was spread carefully and acted as the final bedding for the surface stones. The Romans were masters of concrete, and this layer provided a smooth, firm base that was also somewhat waterproof, preventing water from seeping down and destabilizing the foundation. Finally, the crown jewel of the Roman road, the summum dorsum, or the paving stones. These were large, polygonal or square blocks of hard, durable stone like basalt or flint. They were cut and shaped with incredible precision to fit together tightly, creating a smooth and robust surface. The road was also engineered with a slight camber, meaning it was higher in the middle and sloped down towards the sides. This was a genius move for drainage. Rainwater would simply run off into ditches that were dug alongside the road, preventing puddles and erosion. So while they didn't have iron machinery, the Romans used bronze tools, clever surveying instruments, an abundance of manpower, and an incredibly sophisticated understanding of materials and layering. Their roads were built to last, not just for a few decades, but for centuries. Many of these ancient routes are still visible today, and some even form the foundation for modern highways. It's a testament to their incredible engineering prowess. But the Romans weren't the only ones. Let's travel across the globe to South America, to the mighty Inca Empire. Their road system, the Capac Ñan, was just as impressive, if not more so, given the terrain. It stretched for nearly 40,000 kilometers, or 25,000 miles, through the Andes Mountains, one of the most challenging environments on Earth. We're talking about steep slopes, deep canyons, and high altitudes. And here's the kicker. The Incas built this entire network without the wheel, without draft animals for transport, and without iron tools. So, how did they do it? The Incas were masters of adapting to their environment. Their tools were primarily made of stone and bronze. They used stone hammers, bronze chisels, and levers to quarry and shape massive stones. Instead of laying out perfectly straight lines like the Romans, Inca roads followed the natural contours of the landscape. This was a more practical approach in the mountains, minimizing the need for massive earthworks. Where the terrain was steep, they didn't build ramps. They built staircases. Thousands and thousands of stone steps carved directly into the mountainside. These were perfect for foot traffic and for the llamas that carried goods. These steps are an iconic feature of the Inca Trail and showcase their practical, human-centered design philosophy. They weren't building for wheeled carts. They were building for people and pack animals. In marshy or wet areas, the Incas constructed causeways, raised stone paths that kept the road above the water level. These causeways were built with retaining walls on either side, filled with earth and gravel, and then paved with flagstones. This ensured the road was usable year-round, even during the rainy season. Perhaps the most awe-inspiring features of the Inca road system are the suspension bridges. To cross deep river gorges and canyons, they wove incredible bridges from ichu grass, a tough Andean plant. Local communities were tasked with harvesting the grass and braiding it into thick, sturdy cables, some as thick as a human torso. These massive cables were then strung across the canyon, and a walkway of wood and more woven fibers was laid across them. These bridges were incredibly strong but required constant maintenance. Every year or two, the entire community would come together to rebuild the bridge in a ceremony that was both a construction project and a cultural festival. This tradition continues in some parts of Peru even today. The Inca approach was less about imposing a rigid structure on the landscape and more about working in harmony with it. Their roads were a lifeline, connecting communities, enabling the movement of armies, and facilitating communication through a system of runners called chasquis. The durability of their stone paths, stairways, and bridges, built with simple tools and community effort, is nothing short of miraculous. Let's not forget the Persian Royal Road, one of the earliest great highways. Dating back to the Achaemenid Empire in the 5th century BC, it stretched over 2,700 kilometers from Susa to Sardis. While not as elaborately paved as Roman roads in all sections, it was a well-maintained gravel road, crucial for the administration of the vast Persian Empire. Herodotus, the Greek historian, marveled at its efficiency, noting the system of relay stations and fresh horses that allowed royal messengers to cover the entire length in just 7 to 9 days, a journey that would take a normal traveler 3 months. This road was maintained using local materials and manual labor, leveled and cleared to ensure swift travel for chariots and horsemen. What connects all these ancient builders, the Romans, the Incas, the Persians, is not what they had, but what they did with what they had. They possessed an intimate knowledge of their local geology, a brilliant understanding of physics and engineering principles, and most importantly, an incredible capacity for organization and collective labor. They prove that human ingenuity, planning, and perseverance can achieve the seemingly impossible. They didn't have bulldozers, but they had thousands of dedicated workers. They didn't have laser levels, but they had the groma and the chorobates. They didn't have steel cables, but they had woven grass. The next time you're driving on a smooth asphalt highway, take a moment to think about these ancient engineers. They laid the very foundations, both literally and figuratively, for the connected world we live in today. Their work is a powerful reminder that the greatest tool we have has always been and will always be the human mind. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. We hope you found it as fascinating as we did. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to Who Created It and How, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next exploration into the marvels of history. See you next time.